Declamation is the culminating event of Irving-Marshall Week.
Irving-Marshall Week is something of a spirit week here at Mercersburg. Half the school belongs to one society, the other half of the students belong to the other. It's a week of spirited competition, lots of sports, the winter sports. The week culminates in a speaking contest, which is really worth the most points and can swing the result wildly one way or the other.
Declamation is a 5 to 8 minute monologue by 5 performers from each society.
It has become something of a monologue competition, but not everyone takes on a character. Sometimes kids write their own pieces and are basically themselves. But often they are taking on a character, whether that is a comedian or an author, a playwright.
This piece actually came to me in a dream, and I've been working on it for, I want to say, the past 4 months.
At least for me, it was kind of just more important to pick a piece that I felt like I could embody the character of.
I more so just wanted to focus on like my own abilities as a speaker and my own strengths.
As long as someone laughs in the audience, I've succeeded.
Giving a speech that's important to you, that means something to you, in itself is pretty perfect.
We're right there. There's 2 there, but I don't know if you're familiar with
Oh, okay. Wait.
This year, it means everything.
If you want to declaim for your society, you will audition, at which point you try to find a piece, something that you can memorize and perform for the officers. And if the officers are impressed, like what they see, want to see more, you will get a callback audition. And that happens just after Thanksgiving break.
Before I'm fully memorized with my piece, I'm definitely analyzing it as I'm doing it.
I expected it to be really stressful, but it's clearly a very community-based thing, and everyone involved, like, they want you to succeed.
Honestly, being by myself in front of a ton of people for the first ever time during auditions was a little scary. My knees were shaking.
I knew I wanted to do something that was kind of more dramatic, so that was kind of the frame of reference I was going in looking at it.
My piece is very emotional, and so every time I had rehearsed it, I cried, like full tears, but then tonight I just got really choked up. Maybe I could have gone a little bit slower, but I think it was good.
Callbacks then determine the 5 students selected for each society, plus 1 declaimer in training.
Immediately after they're chosen, we run back to the dorms and we go to each dorm and like we seek the declaimers out and we do like this whole like kind of celebration, like this whole like, whoa, you're a declaimer.
Being a declaimer means putting a lot of time in outside of your other work here at school.
They spend the entire winter term working with the officers of each society.
Up until February, when we have declamation, it really is just practicing, memorizing everything that we need to get ready for declamation night.
Something that took way more time than I was expecting was finding the piece. That was pretty much in every day, in between classes, on my phone, searching for something somewhere.
Taking this whole book and trying to like find a part of it that would fit well for just like a really short excerpt, and then not just that, but like trying to make sure that it all flows together and it's something like readable, I guess, something I can perform as opposed to just something you want to read on a paper. So that was definitely the hardest part for sure.
They'll put their head down to start, they'll do it, they'll put their head down to finish, and then when they come back up, go crazy.
Memorization isn't a problem anymore, so it's really just like being in it and being very aware.
Whenever I'm doing the piece, like, there's always stuff going through my head constantly, so it's hard. It's almost getting harder, but it's a lot of time.
Because I wrote my piece, I'm grateful to share my story, and I hope it helps people to better understand kind of what it's like, or if they've gone through something similar, it lets them know that they're not alone.
I've been on stage before, luckily, so it's less of that and more of like, what mistakes will I make And how will the judges perceive me?
The criteria that declaimers are judged by, in descending order of importance, first and foremost, vocal production. The clarity, the tempo, the rhythm, the variety, the tone, the projection, all of that. The second criteria would be physicality. How does the declaimer embody the role physically? Posture, gestures, facial expression, movement. Third is the material itself. How strong is the material? Is it worthy of being a declamation piece? And then finally, just the rules. The rules are 5 to 8 minutes long. You have to stay in an 8x8 square, which is basically your light. Does your clothing not get in the way of your performance? You're not allowed to use any props, that kind of thing.
I think it gets underestimated how much effort and how much time that our declaimers put into it. Like, all that the student body and like everybody sees is those 5 to 8 minutes when they're on stage, but really they're putting in hours and hours, weeks of work.
They always seem to peak at the right time. They always seem to be ready for that moment.
When you're up there, you really can't see anybody. The lights are just kind of blinding you. You can only see the 2 front rows, and you've already rehearsed with the people that are in the 2 front rows. So at that point, I just imagine that there's nobody there, and then muscle memory, adrenaline just takes over, and I just recite my piece, and it goes along without a hitch.
We want to please the judges, but we also want the crowd to have a good time.
To get to this point, and it's honestly really impressive, and I'm so proud of all my declaimers for how much effort they've put in this year, and I couldn't be happier to work with them.
As long as you know personally that you did a great job, that's all that matters.
Smiles on this one, here, ready, 1, 2, 3.